Hello everybody and welcome to this episode review of the七つの大罪or the Seven Deadly Sins, War of the Gods or Season 3, Episode 6. And yet again, another tremendous episode that answers a lot of questions when it comes to I guess the humans infiltrating Stigma, Ro, what his agenda was. Also the fate and the origin of Gopher and what his plans really are come to light, and ever dramatic by the end of this episode. And just when I thought honestly we were nearing the end of this flashback, considering King wakes up. Seems like there's another twist in the tale, and I can't wait to see what happens next. We start off with Gopher, and the real Gopher, I guess, appearing right in front of King and Diane in the form of Gloxonia and Derol. 3,000-year flashback continues in Britannia. And what's interesting is we did not see Meliodas, we didn't see Ludacil, we didn't see any of the Archangels, we didn't even see what happened to Nerabasta. All we saw was pretty much this focus on King and Diane, which is pretty much what this flashback has been focused on when it comes to the development. So Gopher explains his purpose for creating the doll Gopher, like I said in the previous review, for his eyes and ears as his feet and his hands, to gain experience. I guess during that time he also gained appreciation and affection. So he also grew a sense of humor, it would seem. And like I said before, it's ironic that King and Diane, who got messed up through Gopher's experiments pretty much in the season 2, were there to see the origin of Gopher. King is having none of it because I guess Gopher pretty much explains what's going on with the Light of Grace and I guess the humans infiltrating Stigma, the fairies and the giants and the goddess members of the goddess race are being attacked. They're being slaughtered. It's a nasty scene. And King immediately hears about this, and he's like, "You're responsible for this because this result of you manipulating the demons for your own." For pretty much explain yes, he wanted to be set free from his chair, a bit set free from his prison, but he also wanted to put a stop to the Holy War. So that kind of raises an eyebrow, and I'm wondering how he's going to be able to do that. Like I said, King having none of it. He's already pissed off by Gopher's shenanigans already. So he's like, no, I'm not listening to this. I'm done. I gotta appreciate Diane's development here because she's like, no, I'm sticking around because I want to hear this from King's like, okay, be safe. I'm gonna go on ahead. So he doesn't want the mistakes to repeat themselves, even though he can't change the past. That's a big highlight in this flashback, in this episode. You can't change the past. You can influence the future of what giving information to Gopher like King did and Diane did in the previous episode, but you can't change the past. And then Diane and Gopher have an interesting conversation, and it's like he's gonna leave the doll Gopher behind so he can find a way to put an end to the war. So, and right away things got heavily emotional because Gopher was out of nowhere just teared up immediately. It's like, you're gonna leave me behind? What are you doing? And Diane immediately noticed, for the first time since his introduction, he's showing his genuine emotions from this version. So that came out of left field. So I appreciate that. It's development for Gopher, and I wonder if it's gonna have any bearing on what's going on right now in the present. With this information, Diane and King, they're gonna reunite. They're gonna rejoin the gang of the rest of the sins, and that's where we're going to get the reunion, and it's going to make it even much more impactful knowing the information that King and Diane just got in this flashback. So I like that. I like also how Gopher pretty much says, look after my doll for me, Diane. Make sure he's not led astray. Lead him in the right direction. And I love this because in season 2, it was Diane who tried to talk some sense into Gopher to not manipulate with people's minds and their feelings. That's what happened. Gopher ended up screwing with Diane's memories, which caused most of this problem in the first place, and King's bitter resentment. Now it's like the roles are reversed, and now Diane, and I wonder what this is going to mean for the future, like I mentioned, because it doesn't change what happened with her memories being taken away from Gopher. But before we get cut from that scene, Gopher does say, I'm gonna sorry, I made a mistake. So Diane says, don't worry about it. I'm going to look after it. Don't worry about it. And he proceeds to say, I'm going to repay debt and I'm going to give you something back, but we don't find out what that is. I personally think it's going to be Diane's previous memories. So kind of cool if that's what happens. But over to where I guess the fairies and the humans are butchering each other, and Garade is traumatized because she's like got mixed emotions for Ro. I guess at the same time she doesn't want to see the rest of the fairies get slaughtered, but she realizes like she wants to atone for her sins because she allowed what Lucille was going through with the demons being extinguished and her keeping a tight lip on it and not saying anything. She did. So she wants to take responsibility for that, but it's like it becomes a murder scene pretty much. And it's right there where an interesting scene because we see Gloxania in the form of King going through the forest and he's like, please make it there in time. I don't want this to happen again. Obviously traumatized what happened with his sister Elaine. You can understand King's desperation. At the same time you have Ro pretty much explain what's going on. This is where Garade steps in front because one of the fairies was going to be slaughtered pretty much, and Garade steps in front and says, stop this or I'm going to kill you. And Ro actually says that you're going to kill me. Nothing happens, but then one of the humans of Stigma ends up actually carving up Garade and slashes the both fairies in the eyes, Garade and the fairy. They get slaughtered, or they're still alive, but they're in bad shape. So, and even Ro's like, what did you do? So it's obviously didn't want to kill Garade, and we found out the reason why that is. But it ends up turning on his own comrade, human comrade. It becomes complicated, like I mentioned. It later gets explained. So he kills his human comrade, and then he actually tends to like he's at pretty much Garade's side, and he reveals like his village was messed up by fairies from Stigma, from the Alliance. They got dragged into this war. Garade reminds him of his childhood friend, has a striking resemblance to that of Elaine, and now the Bond Elaine parallels are there. His childhood friend, so I like that. Also, if you notice, also the village is destroyed. His childhood friend gets killed. It's a tragic situation, and it goes to show you there's no mutual understanding. And in fact, it's like I want to put a stop to this because there's no understanding. And he does ask Diane what happens in the 3,000 years, and Diane says there's no war right now. Although I'm pretty sure. But the main point is he does point out that the flaws with standard because there's no communication. They don't understand one another, and there's no harmony in it. So that becomes a problem in any country, in any kingdom. When there's no mutual understanding, when there's disagreements that can't be resolved, this is usually what happens. When it's discrimination, this is what happens. I like the parallels there. In fact, speaking of parallels, we couldn't find out a demon was taken in by Ro and I guess his family pretty much. And the way everything wraps is so much like sets in stone, like Bond's connection with Chevego, the Fox in season 2, and now we have Ro and the seaman that he helped out. So I like the parallels there too. And Ro was like just crying until he couldn't cry anymore. And this is where he was resolved, hardened, and he became a member of Stigma to get revenge. But he realized his mistakes because he's doing the exact same thing that was being inflicted to him. So it becomes an ugly cycle. So, like I said, he tried to atone for it by having Garade back to health. And Garade has some words for him as well. So she's like warming up to Ro. So there's the connection there. There's romance, much like with Elaine and Bond. Because we know Garade is alive in the present. So now we know a little more about her. But what's really interesting, I thought the parallels were going to like, Ro was going to sacrifice himself to save Garade. But before he has the chance to do anything else, Gloxania in the form of King sees this and oh boy, it goes off the rails quickly because not understanding the situation. Or Gloxania, King loses it, traumatized. He's about to attack. You got Garade saying you need to get out of here. And Ro saying, no, I don't longer care. One part of Gloxania or King is about to attack Ro. He's about to kill him. And King's like asking, what the hell are you smiling for? He's got a smile on his face. Much like Bond did the very first time we got introduced to King, and he got stabbed and not turned to stone. So the parallels are there. And because of this, because he knows what King experienced, he puts a stop to the attack and does not kill Ro. However, you see the actual Gloxania in the past actually kill Ro. So that's where King passes the test, because he put the stop to actually killing somebody, where Gloxania did not, and that's why he passed the test. He passed the trial because he made a decision that Gloxania couldn't, because he was so emotionally wrapped up, and that's what led him to becoming one of the 10 Commandments. So I love that Diane has still to wake up, because she has a trial that's yet to be resolved. So we don't know what that is. However, given the fact that by the end of this episode, Zeldris appears, and he literally breaks the barrier. The light of grace is shattered, appears right in front of Gopher, both of them, and I'm pretty sure the real Gopher's going to sacrifice his life to like protect Diane and the dog. But it just that seems to make the most. Gloxania does say you can't influence the past. However, you were able to make a decision that I couldn't. So, said if you weren't able to make that decision, you would have gone insane and lost it like I did. So, in the flashback, you've been killed in real time. So you would never be able to wake up again. And I do like how Roe before he says, "How am I going to explain this to Meliodas?" Because he was a nice guy, and I betrayed his trust. And Garada says, "Don't worry about it." This was an emotional episode, by the way, a full emotional heavy episode with Gopher and with Garade and Ro and their interactions and their bond, I guess, pretty much. And now things take an interesting twist, because Meliscula, after the barrier's broken or the gate's broken, is like, "Oh, you arrived just in time," and out appears like a pimp Zeldris in the 3,000-year flashback. I'm pretty sure this is going to lead to a battle between Meliodas, so I can't wait for that, which is why Diane is still in the flashback, because we still need to see what went down. I'm loving this arc, I'm loving this flashback. I never thought I'd say that, but it explains so many things. I love the parallels, the attention to detail. This is a great episode. That's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like this review if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more 7 Deadly Sins. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.